Hey Brian, welcome to the podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks, David. Appreciate the invite. Excited to talk to you guys a little bit today about some entrepreneurship and some of the stuff I've been working on.
Yeah. And so for anyone who might not know you, if you were to give maybe a trailer to a lot of the stuff that you've done already or are looking to accomplish, what would you tell someone who, maybe to give a trailer about Brian and what he's accomplished already?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just a simple man from Tennessee, moved to Boca Raton, really not knowing anyone, and I'm a proud FAU alumni. My career thus far has primarily done with digital marketing, and it's really exciting and rewarding to be able to help, businesses from all different sort of verticals and getting them on the right path to success for marketing their business more efficiently, effectively and more friendly a lot of times
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I definitely want to get into the friendly part. That's super interesting. And so for digital marketing, what were a lot of the services you were offering these businesses? Because I know that's a pretty big term people probably throw out there.
It really is. I mean, whenever I first started in school, right, I kind of knew that I wanted to do some marketing sort of things. And, you know, I looked at social media like it was the driving force behind all marketing. And I quickly realized once I got into the trenches that there's so much more. So some of the big services that we offer are SEO, which is search engine optimization. We really specialize on helping businesses with a storefront, get found within 60 to 90 days. We try to help them be ranking, in the first couple pages or results for Google. And then pay-per-click management. So it's called PPC. At this point, I've managed probably a few $1 million. When I say a few, I mean 20 plus. And it's a very tricky beast when it comes to PPC. You got to figure out what platform. You got Google, Facebook, Instagram, all these different resources on where you can be running paid ads. And you got to figure out, what's the right fit for you, what's the budget, and it's a lot of testing. The marketing can be frustrating for a lot of people because you try something once and it doesn't work. You might try it again later and it does. But that's why, having somebody in the right seat to tell you where to go with those marketing dollars and kind of guide you through that direction. That's what we at BR Consulting really specialize in.
Yeah. Yeah, SEO and PPC, that's super interesting. And so, what would you say are some things you've kind of maybe get some key points about marketing that a lot of these businesses should understand that you guys come in and help, maybe some good frameworks that a lot of these businesses should understand?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, every client, every business, everybody wants to be number one on Google, right? If we had, whatever business we're doing, if we typed it in and we popped up number one, we'd all be happy, right? But that's not the way it can work. We can't all be number one. So I think that one thing we really pride ourselves on doing is telling clients where they're at, letting them know where they can be in a certain timeline if they do X amount of things or if they, stay consistent. That's the most important thing for everything, I would say, is consistency. And that's what you're going to want to do is just give the client the expectations on how they can get to their goals and what does that timetable look like to get there.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a lot of like expectation management as well, like as you're saying, because I'm sure clients probably think I'm going to give you this money and then they're going to print back $10 billion, but maybe it might take, 6 months to get there. And so, yeah, it's super interesting. And so what are the types of businesses you tend to work with, or even get the best results with a lot of the work that you've done?
Well, we really haven't found a niche per se.
Hmm.
I would say a couple months ago, we probably were working with a lot of moving companies and we saw a lot of great success with them, which was interesting. We also have had a lot of success, like I said, with storefront retail businesses. One of my friends owns a coffee shop actually in East Boca Raton. Going to give a shout out here, VI Coffee Bar. It's fantastic, located on South Federal, right across from Royal Palm Yacht Club. Great spot. She's been killing it for marketing. She's got a great vibe. She's got, a clean brand, and we've really helped her, manage her PPC, help her with some SEO optimization. So things like that for, a small mom and pop shop type of business, we can really come in and save those people tons of money, tons of time, and really get them working on what's going to actually get them a return on the investment, which is normally customer sales, things like that. I would say probably the last specialty or clients we have the most experience with is going to be e-commerce.
Hmm.
I've done a lot of, Shopify, website management, build out, and seen a lot of success for clients selling online, going back to helping them get that advertising up on the right channels and kind of guiding them through where good effort for marketing dollars or time spent is a good place to go.
Yeah. And as we were talking about before the call, you have some good relation with FAU. So how are you involved with FAU in particular? And then also, and yeah, just kind of just go over a lot of the ways that, you see FAU with entrepreneurship, because as we were talking about, I see that all these different entrepreneurs are popping up out of nowhere from FAU. And as I didn't go there, I wasn't familiar with that, but they seem to be doing super well recently.
Well, we love to hear that. And you might have opened up a can of worms because I might be one of the biggest FAU fans. I would say all of my peers, the people that I go to school with and graduated FAU with, they would all say that I'm probably the biggest FAU fan in the group. FAU's tremendous. I mean, the entrepreneurship program, it's fantastic. The College of Business is rapidly growing. You've got FAU Tech Runway. You've got a strong alumni association, and then you put all that together with the fact that our basketball team made an incredible Final Four run, and South Florida jumps onto winners like no one else.
Hmm.
You've got yourself a pretty exciting time to be in Boca. uh, Going to FAU was life changing for me, and my way of being able to give back was about 3 years ago. Whenever this thing called NIL popped up, which stands for name, image, and likeness, I had a couple of gentlemen that knew I was a big FAU fan pull my leg and say, "Hey, let's start a collective." And I was super excited and couldn't wait to get involved. And so I moved forward and opened up the business and have been helping out FAU student athletes ever since. In our first year, we were able to provide a deal to all 500, give or take a few athletes at FAU, where they all got the opportunity to get involved with name, image, and likeness and do an NIL deal with a local business. And that's really what we're trying to achieve. The collective is focused on, helping FAU athletes the way that they want to be helped, hearing what their interests are, seeing what businesses in the local area or nonprofits in the local area that might work for them to get involved with. And we help facilitate those opportunities, connect them. And, if there's a specific, corporation or team out there that, a business wants to work with, we try to bring that all together. And so that's called the Al Collective. Like I said, it's been around for 3 years. That's one of the ways that we're trying to help facilitate more opportunities for the FAU athletes here in Boca Raton.
Yeah. And for someone, I guess like me, I'm not familiar with the term NIL. I actually had seen that recently, pop up everywhere, as I was saying, with like the FAU athletes. But for just to explain to the audience, what is NIL and why did it come about? So I know what it stands for, but just practically, what is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So NIL, like I said, it's name, image, and likeness. And the way that it came to be was the NCAA, which is the governing body for all college athletic sports. They finally came to the realization that, hey, these schools are making money from the promotion of these athletes on things, and enough people, pushed the big message up to the board, and they finally got through. And the NCAA said, yeah, they are making money that way. Let's compensate these athletes for the use of their images, the usage of their NIL, name, image, and likeness.
Mhm.
And so that was the changing point for college athletics forever now. I believe literally 2 days ago there now has been an appeal because the NCAA had passed uh, basically a law saying that athletes could be paid directly from schools. So now that's going to go, back into an appeal process and see where that ends up. I don't know what's right. I don't know what's wrong, but I feel that anybody that's been involved with college sports feels that athletes do deserve to get paid. And what that looks like, we don't know still. Um, we are in America and it is capitalism. So people making, these buku bucks, I don't think that it's necessarily, a bad thing, right? Some of these athletes really do carry some super notoriety. I mean, think about Bronny James. You get his son and the opportunity to showcase your product or service to LeBron, right?
Yeah.
It's sometimes the juice is worth the squeeze, is what I like to say.
Yeah.
But that's basically what NIL is. It can look a couple of different ways, but in its basic form, you're thinking of a student athlete doing influencer marketing, social media promotion, and it's a little bit of marketing and it's a little bit of goodwill because you've got a student athlete, this young person that's striving to be better in their life or their career, going to school and playing a sport at the same time, and you're supporting that. And then, on the other side, you're doing a marketing promotion. It's business, right? So it's a great way to for local businesses to further tie in with the local community and show, that sort of support. And I gotta do a little sales pitch here. Most of the athletes from FAU or at FAU are from Palm Beach or from Florida. So if you're a local business, whether you've got a couple franchises or a couple shops, they're going to be a great person for you to market with, because their fans, their friends, their family, they're here in the local community. So that's what the Owl Collective does. Things like that, helping people see the vision for marketing better with their business.
Yeah. And I appreciate the sales pitch, because I go to SMU and we just got accepted to the ACC recently, and a lot of the athletes on our campus are like legitimately famous. Like they have, hundreds of thousands of followers. They bring all this press to the school. And so I could definitely see the argument from their point on why they should be getting paid, because I know that like SMU going to the ACC, for example, is definitely going to bring a lot more money and a lot more press to the school. And so it would make sense for the students, in my opinion, as well, to get some sort of compensation because they're actually going out there and bringing the dollars to the campus. Um, so yeah, for any local businesses, I respect the shout out. And
Absolutely. And welcome to the ACC. That's where we're at too.
Yeah, no, it's exciting. I'm more of a basketball guy, but I still watch football occasionally, and all my friends are super hyped about it too. So yeah, and for any student like me, so I'm going to my senior year at college, or maybe young entrepreneurs who just graduated. What are some key pieces of advice you'd give to them if you're looking to build a business, get into entrepreneurship in general? Just some of the key traits or frameworks that you would like to tell most of the people.
Absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't call it advice. I'll just share what worked for me and how I was able to kind of get my career going. So something clicked within me my junior year of school, and I just started getting more involved. And what does that mean? It can mean a lot of different things, but for me, it meant, finding out what are all the clubs that interest me at FAU, at least attending one meeting or doing some due diligence to check it out and see if it was a good fit for me. I got more involved with networking, going to different events. You got to kind of put yourself out there, get a little bit uncomfortable, do outreach on LinkedIn. I think that for FAU, they have this platform called Handshake, which is like the
Mhm.
official job board. I think that's kind of standardized at a lot of universities. And
Yeah,
I
we have
definitely
that
would
too.
encourage everybody to jump in. Like David said, it's at SMU as well. We can get in there. I have multiple companies with job internship opportunities on there at all times. Highly recommend everybody get an internship before you graduate. It's one of the most it's the only time in your life where you're probably going to be willing to work for free, and it's going to be mutually beneficial because you're going to get a chance to look at what it's like working in a career that you think you want to be in. You're going to get a chance to see if that business is actually something you want to do and kind of figure out like what is interesting you because as we all know, depending on what your major is, me, for example, I graduated with business management. That's not, very specific and it's not even marketing. I figured
Yeah.
out marketing, with my career in the job field. So taking on multiple internships and trying out things is very key, I would say, as you're winding towards the end of your college career or just in life. In life you have to take chances. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there. And 9 times out of 10, I would say it's going to work out.
Yeah. I mean, that's how we met is through LinkedIn. And so I can definitely recommend that to anyone. All my friends know I love LinkedIn. It's the greatest platform, but I'll have to shout out to LinkedIn. But um, I think that I don't want to give them too much press, but um, No, I completely agree. And I know that people could go through college. I could speak on the college aspect at least. I have a lot of friends of mine who go to every club, network a lot. And then I have a lot of friends who don't participate in any of those things. And I feel like you're just not taking advantage of the full, ride of college. And especially when you go to a school like FAU or SMU where they have such great networks, such great programs, it doesn't really make sense to pay all the money to go there and then to not take full advantage of it. So I completely agree with that and also the idea of the networking events that they always host. And I think I can tell you that a lot of my friends, it'll be a Tuesday night and they'll host a networking event. They'll say, "Oh, it's too much work," but I think in the long term, having, just going out there doing that, you never know who you're going to meet. I mean, I'm surprised every day at all the different alumni from SMU, and now I'm seeing FAU as well. And so, would you say that, going to FAU and accessing alumni network is like a super important thing for students, regardless of the school, I guess. But I guess we could talk about FAU.
So I would say to your statement about, your friends saying they don't want to go out on that Tuesday night networking event. I gotta tell you, as ironic as it is, on the days or the nights when I really don't want to go to an event and I push myself and I say, I'm going, like, we got to do this. Like, I know I'm going to meet someone. And don't forget, I'm from the sticks of Tennessee. I come from a town with the only Walmart for a 20-mile radius. Like every day I wake up, it's a blessing. I'm surrounded by so many opportunities. For me to not go whenever I'm tired like that is doing the Tennessee version of myself a disservice. So I say all that to say this. Every time I go and I push myself like that, I always meet a fantastic connection. And it's funny you said Tuesday. I went to an event literally this week on Tuesday. I really didn't want to go. I worked a super long, 10, 12-hour day. And the last thing I want to do is go talk to people and run my mouth about all of the entrepreneurial business activities that I'm involved with. But I did it and it worked out fantastic. I'm trying to set up an NIL deal with a couple of the guys that I met, and a couple of the other guys needed me for some other business ventures that I'm involved with. So, to your friends, I would say push yourself. It's well worth it. And to your other question, your question was, please remind me, David.
It was about, people always talk about the idea of college networks, alumni networks. And so,
Right.
I guess you could speak on your experiences, graduating from FAU. Has, really paying attention to that network, catering relationships and nurturing relationships, has that been super important in your career so far?
Absolutely. So the way that I got my first job out of school, I was involved with a club going back to me getting involved back then. I was involved with this club. I reached out. I said, "Hey, does anybody know of any good marketing agencies in the local area that I should apply for a job?" And sure enough, one of the gentlemen from the American Marketing Association, shout out AMA, told me, "Hey, apply to this spot, read this book, and you'll get the job." I read the book, thank goodness, because on the interview, I had to take a test. I was the first person to ever get 100 on this test. I was hired on the spot. And, that was my first job. That's what really got my shoe into the door. And it all comes from everything that we just talked about, right? Networking, putting yourself out there. And I tried something new too, right? It was my first job after graduating. I was like, well, let's see what marketing agencies look like. And I loved it. It worked out. So
Yeah. And I guess we can hone in on marketing specifically. So I know that I have a lot of friends of mine from SMU and also people I've met that are super interested in the marketing field specifically. And so to speak to those people, what would be some of your key piece of advice if you want to become an entrepreneur or maybe work at a big marketing agency in that field?
well, in transparency, David, I can't speak to working at a big marketing agency. The
Hmm.
agency I worked at was very boutique. And at
Hmm.
this point in my life, I don't have necessarily too much corporate America experience. I did work at a company for 3 years and helped them with the acquisition to go public and be traded. But other than that, a lot of the ventures that I have been involved with have been smaller businesses, more startup ventures. And I would to your question though, the biggest thing with marketing at the end of the day is staying on top of it. Knowledge is power. And every day I get updates on, what are the platforms doing? How are the algorithms changing? What are the new best practices? And then seeing where is marketing going towards the future. I'm sure everybody at this point in their life has heard about Chat GPT. I use it on the daily now. It saves me time. It's a tool. Finding out the different tools that can help you as a marketer. One of my ventures that I'm involved with now, it's called Esther AI. Another shout out here. This tool does three things in one. It helps with SEO reporting, compliance, and accessibility. So what we've identified is that we want to go after marketing agencies, web development companies, because we know those companies have these sort of tools already and may be paying individually for them when they could pay our venture, one set fee in order to do all three of those things in one. So saving time, money, and resources. That's really what you're going to want to do in marketing. It's an ever-changing, evolving vertical. That's why I love it. And really anybody can get into it. It's just about if you're tech savvy, you do have to be a little bit tech savvy. I just went to get some lunch and saw a guy who couldn't figure out the water machine. Probably not coming from my digital marketing job. But
Yeah.
but you know what I mean? Like if you're capable and you grew up with the internet or you grew up with a computer, you find the resources, you stay up to date, and you'll be able to figure out some digital marketing along the way.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing that's super interesting to me about marketing is you look at any other industry like insurance or like manufacturing, legal. I feel like, on a broad scale, I don't think they change that much, at least very quickly. It's not day to day things are changing, but in marketing, I see that every single day there's new technology coming out there, a new, $1 million company that's solving this problem. I feel like there's no industry that I've seen that moves just as fast as that. So I think that's what makes it competitive. And that also means that anyone can get into it and learn it because there's always new things coming out. So if there's anything I learned about marketing, it's as you said, like you got to really stay on top of it and really understand what's going on because the second you think, I think like I've heard Mark Cuban say this, the second you think in marketing that you have everything figured out, it's going to change on you and it's a whole different platform. I'm sure and
Absolutely.
I'm sure there'll be a new LinkedIn in the next couple of years, and that'll be the social or the professional networking that everyone's doing. And so it's crazy how fast everything changes.
Look at
So
the wrinkle that, when did TikTok pop? What, 2, 3
yeah,
years ago? And now,
yep,
if you're in marketing and you're not, telling your clients to take a look at TikTok, then you're kind of doing yourself and your client a disservice. And if you're a business owner and you're not, putting out video content and repurposing that content onto these sort of channels, then you're kind of missing out on low-hanging fruit.
yeah. And yeah, and it's also especially with social media, that realm of marketing changes every single day on the platforms. And so like I've never done any marketing on Twitter or X, for example, but I
Mm.
have a bunch of other friends in marketing who swear by that and say that is like a great platform to use. And like I have a lot of friends who don't really market on LinkedIn, but that's like I love LinkedIn. I do that every day. So same, and it's crazy to think about what platforms are like the hottest platforms now, and it'll be forever changing. So. Is there any platforms that you always recommend to your clients, like regardless of what business they're in?
I mean, I think that you got to have the big three for social media, which is, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you're not doing those, then maybe your business just isn't a social media business, right? But I
Hmm.
think that above anything else, what I recommend my clients, if they don't have an account and they want to start it, don't do it unless you're going to be consistent. There's no point in putting up. I can't tell you the amount of clients or prospects calls that I get on, and I look at their social media and they've got, a post from 2, 3 years ago. The page looks absolutely horrible. And at that point, you're better off not having social media because you're just doing a discredit to the business and you're not making it look on brand. You're making it look cheesy, like someone doesn't care. So the whole thing, it's like everything else in life, right? If you're gonna do something, do it with a purpose and be consistent with it. So that's what I would say above any shout out here to any more platforms.
Yeah.
It is forever changing, and I think that I wouldn't be surprised in 10 years, if everybody's been so gung-ho on Facebook for 20 years now, it feels like there's got to
Hmm.
be some sort of market shift here pretty soon. And I think with AI and the future of advertising, we'll see more native platforms probably starting to win and take market share away from the staples.
Yeah. Yeah, and another big thing I want to touch on was that you brought up the idea of consistency. So I feel like, it's a good point because I see all these businesses who I know are making millions of dollars and they're, extremely successful. I see this a lot in like insurance or like, law firms and whatnot. And they have an Instagram account with like, as you said, like a post from 3 years ago and like 2 followers. And you know that they have, a super successful business. And so it's interesting because I think they really should be capitalizing. This is obviously where your business comes in with getting onto social media, doing it consistently. But why consistency is the main thing. So, I mean, obviously, I have my own interest to this. I just wanted to hear your perspective on consistency and why that's important for these platforms.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, consistency is key because it's going to tell the algorithm, number one, hey, that there's someone on this account. And it's not necessarily just posting, it's about engaging with other accounts. Yeah, I have conversations with clients all the time about there's really no workaround. It's very straightforward. The
Hmm.
time that you put in on the platform of engaging with other people, following other people, which is engaging, right? Um, and posting, whether it be stories, reels, highlights, whatever, right? That content and time is not going unnoticed. And that is how you grow an account. You have to be dedicated. It takes time commitment. Um, I wish that there was another way. I mean, bots and things in the past have worked, but there's really no workaround for the work. And it's not hard work, right? We're talking about sitting here click clacking and tapping and liking pictures and writing some captions.
Hmm.
I say this stuff to my father and he can't believe I'm serious, but it's real. This is what it takes, right? So that's what the consistency comes down to, those sort of actions and that type of effort on the platforms.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. I think a lot of people, especially with social media, try to find that next hack or that next hashtag play or whatnot. And I think things do work, maybe in the span of 3 months or whatnot. But I think overwhelmingly it just becomes more simple that it's just there's only a couple things you can do on these platforms and they're the buckets of like engaging or posting or whatnot, but it's just a lot of consistent work. And so I want to make sure I didn't leave anything out major in terms of marketing, entrepreneurship. So is there any good piece of advice you want to give, maybe a shout out, or something, just before I, let you go for the day. And so I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Um, If anybody's looking for some great marketing, check out brconsultingfl.com. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm also on LinkedIn, Bryan Rammel. You can find me there. I'm always open resource. I love helping people out. Feel free to pick my brain. And if you are interested in NIL or you have a local business or a business in general and you're listening, feel free to reach out. I'd love to talk shop, see how we can make a return on investment with an NIL deal with the Owl Collective. We've got some fantastic FAU student athletes, great looking people, great people to work with, and nice, friendly, and college students looking to make that next transition in their life too. So I think that's really about it. I really do appreciate you allowing me the opportunity to be on this podcast, and I look forward to staying connected to see how your career unfolds yourself here as you end your time at SMU.
100%. It was a pleasure having you on.